Tried to add myself to the stage there for a second. There, wait for some folks to show up. The only one that's in here right now is me. Keep trying to wash this scratch off my glasses. It's a weird time of the day to go live, especially for me. So we'll see how this goes. Just ramble for a while. See if anybody decides to come in. Not too long though, because there are actually people that come back in here and rewatch the lives for whatever reason. Hey, Mark, how goes things? Um, if anybody is going to ask, we missed all the bad rain in Texas. That was all southeast of us. Uh, Actually, it didn't make the national news, but San Angelo had some damage too, which is directly south of us. Um, yeah, the Concho River raised, well, down from San Angelo. The Concho was up like 18 feet or something like that, 16, 18 feet. Hey, Corsairs. Mr. Steve. Um, I talked to Bob. He said, Bob Hansler down at the other side of San Antonio. He said the river only come up about 6 or 8 inches and then went right back down where he was at. So, um, there's enough lakes and stuff between where all that stuff happened at Junction and Kerrville and stuff. So I don't think he really has to worry about it. You know, the stuff I would be worried about if I was downstream from there. We had a flood here 20 some years ago. God, it stunk for months after that because I mean it was just cow after cow after cow after cow going down the creek. But anyways, if I missed, I didn't look at the news real hard this morning. I saw where some slightly more prepared than I would have expected them to be individuals attempted to wreak havoc on a immigration detention center. Um, Everybody's looking at their mug shots and saying, "Well, they don't look very bright." They're what 24 hours or better awake when they took those pictures. Um, they were way long into their day when they pulled their stunt. Uh, they were running like crazy after they pulled their stunt. They got caught and arrested, and they were all wearing their nice little striped pajamas by the time those pictures were taken. Yeah, we'd all look pretty stupid by then. So, I'm just saying. I can't have been very well trained though because the guy's one of them's rifle jammed and he tossed it instead of clearing the jam or sharing it with. I don't know, more of that will come out. I don't. It's way too early to figure out what was going on with that. But can y'all hear me? Okay. I got the air conditioner going. It's literally right here. It's humid as crap here. And it's pretty warm up there. But apparently, all had firearms in them. They all were wearing body armor. So, anyways, um, they used the internet to organize their little get together and got away with it. But I'm pretty sure that the FBI, the CIA, everybody knows whenever we have a prepper get together. It's just weird to me. So, but seems like a lot of people on the other side of the fence seem to be getting away with a lot. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to bring up that other thing of the list that's not going to be shown. That's whatever. And all those black pieces of paper that they released on the JFK stuff. Actually, what's triggered this live stream, I watched High Desert Pioneers video on, I guess it was a video response to a couple of videos he had watched, and a little bit of current affairs or whatever. It came out. I guess it was out this morning. But he's actually got the cover for his video is actually, hold on, I got it down here somewhere. I've got a whole bunch of stuff pulled up here. Yeah, we probably went past it. Let's remember that we wrestle not with I wish I could do that from memory. It'd be really nice. But anyway, the principalities things, that was the one they had up there. And we haven't for a really long time. Oh, here it is, Ephesians. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over the present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places, and that is English Standard Version. Let's see if it'll allow me to change the no. I was hoping because I don't read the ESV. I read the King James, New King James, and a few others, but I don't read the ESV that much. Hey, Carol. Anyways, he was pretty much on spot with a lot of things. The fact that we're not really what's going on isn't, for starters, it's not. This is where a lot of people get it wrong. There is nothing that we can do to stop the great and powerful day of the Lord from happening. It's going to happen when it happens. Um, there's nothing that happens that isn't ordained. But all this evil stuff that happens, everything that happens has to happen. That's just the way it is. I mean, we've all been given a way out. Um, something that's real important to remember in the stay alive, don't die thing is that we're not being sent to hell by God. We, in refusing to accept the Son of God as our Lord and Savior and acknowledge his sacrifice for us and the truth of his Father, we condemn ourselves to hell. That's John 3:16, 17, and 18. John 3:16 is nothing without 17 and 18. 3:16 is a fact. 17 and 18 are also a fact. They did not come to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Or he did not come to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. They're condemned already in that they refuse to accept the Son of God. It's really paraphrasing. My memory sucks now. Anyways, uh, he was talking about the whole spirits and thing. And that's, I was going to make notes and write this down like a whole thing, but then I was like, wait, by the time you do that, you'll have so much written down that you'll be trying to read it and there'll be no flow, which there's probably going to be any flow to this. But what a lot of people, when they start trying to figure out whether or not something's good or bad, because good or bad depends on what side of the fence you're on. To me, bad is stealing from the rich to make the poor rich. I believe that, which is scriptural. The prayer of Jabez isn't about getting rich because God loves you. The prayer of Jabez is about, since God has made you rich, you need to take care of more people. I think robots are bad. Okay. Just because you can replace 20 workers with a robot doesn't mean that you should. Now, I think the workers should really think hard about whether or not they want to be replaced or whether or not they're willing to, instead of bonding together to make it impossible to afford to manufacture something in their country, bond together across the board to make it so that you can afford to live on what you're already making. It's not your boss that's the problem. It's the stock market, the bankers, the people defrauding on debt, stuff like that. Um, you know, if a guy goes into $2 billion worth of debt, he loses everything. The end. That way, people uh, if if not everybody stands the same chance of losing everything, it's not gambling anymore. And business is gambling. Plain and simple. If you start a company and you go from making a few $100,000 to a few million to a few billion, and you're backed by all these laws and regulations that allows you to not lose. Filing bankruptcy, you don't lose anything when you file bankruptcy. Done it twice myself. They changed the laws now a little bit, and now they can charge you income tax for what you file bankruptcy on. So it's a little weird. That's a whole other thing there. Anyway, what's good for one person, the way I believe, unions are not good. I believe they were when they were started. I no longer believe they are. What else? But there are other people that come in this chat all the time that believe unions are good and not evil. So good and evil can be objectified by your own understanding. That's why we're warned not to proceed with our life according to our own understanding. That's why we're given the ability to read and educate ourselves so we can understand the whole picture and not just rely on our own understanding. If I try to explain why cicadas do what cicadas do, I'd get it wrong. But I can learn and educate myself and then explain to my grandson how the weird little bugs make the noise. They have a really cool high-tech clicker that they just move really, really fast. But anyways, let's get back to the Bible here because we're rolling on this real hard. Whether or not what we're going through is the end times. We have been in the end times since the last of the original 12 died. Honestly, it's, a day is as 1,000 years, and as 1,000 years as a day. And by that, it's only been 2,000 years or 2 days. So Was it 7 weeks? Daniel has 7 weeks. There's 7 years. There's 7 days mentioned all through the scriptures and stuff. I don't believe that Revelations is a map of what's going to happen in the end times. I believe some of the stuff mentioned is still to come, but I believe a lot of what is told about in visions is stuff that has already passed. Some of it happened before Christ got the arguments. That's a completely different thing. But let's see, 1 John 4:1. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit to see whether they are from God, for many false prophets have gone out into the world. Ephesians 6:10-12. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against the flesh and blood, but against the rulers and the authorities, and against cosmic powers over the present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. What's some of the stuff that's going on? I don't know, with the rainbow flag and not only homosexual marriages, but marrying homosexuals being baptized into the churches as members of the church. Started to do a little side note there. I always thought it was the Methodists that started that, but it wasn't. There's a reason a specific church there's no organization between the church. It used to be the biggest Christian church in this freaking country. But anyway, here's the thing. No wonder stuff like that's happening, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Oh, but we're supposed to love one another. Actually, it says to love your brother or your neighbor. But it says to love your neighbor, and they're my neighbor. Well, it also says that you should be in the world, but not of the world. You're supposed to hold yourself apart, keep yourself apart. It actually makes suggestions that you do not associate with people who do not walk in the way, but you actually physically remove yourself from those people. Well, it's not very inclusive. The Bible's not a very inclusive book. %90 of the people that are in churches today, if Christ came back today, if the sky opened up and people started dying, which everybody dies on that day, everybody, okay? The ones that are in the little book, heaven, the ones that aren't, they don't go to heaven, okay? It's that simple. No eloquent words, no nothing like that. Either Jesus Christ, the Son of God, knows your name, and he's coming back for you, or he doesn't. And he's coming back to kill you. The end. Most of us aren't going to make it. Our names are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life. That sounds really harsh, but if you choose your family over God, over the Son of God, well, if I just keep on loving them, yeah, loving them, not supporting them, not acknowledging what they're doing is right, but if I just keep on that, then maybe they'll come around. Yep. Let them know that you love them and that you want them to come around. You cannot support bad or you're bad. Now, everybody's like, well, the rich and powerful are doing this, that, and everything else. They're not doing anything that us peons aren't doing. We just do it on a smaller scale. Well, I can't tell them the truth about that. I mean, I'm going to get fired for blowing the engine in that tractor. I've got to make sure that they think it was a factory defect and not me running it 20, 30% over on the RPMs. You know, the freaking lines at 5,000, and I was in a hurry, so I've been running it for the past week on 65. We're all guilty of stuff like that. It doesn't matter what you're lying about, a lie's a lie. It's that simple. Hey, Dad, how goes life in the space exploration business? When you're little, uh, the spirit of the Antichrist has been here since, well, I think it was Paul that warned us that the spirit of the Antichrist was here and had been here for a while. We don't have to wait for some guy to be born and come to power and do everything perfect in the world. There's going to be a guy like that, but he's not the Antichrist. The Antichrist has been here for forever. Well, not forever, but for a long time. But 1 John 3:8, whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. So, what are the works of the devil? There's lying, cheating, coveting, sloth, slander, all that stuff they teach you not to do in the kindergarten. This is true. And that's why our country sucks now, is because too much of the country, we're not pure capitalism anymore. We really are. I don't even know what you call it when the big corporations that do all the research, that get all the government grants, and a government grant is tax money. Okay, tax money comes from the people. So all the guys working for a living, you know, plowing, digging, picking, chopping, patching, whatever. All the guys that are doing, guys and gals, human beings, are paying for all this stuff? Why aren't they having to like go borrow their money on their own self? And if they make it work, great. If they can't make it work, oh well. That's capitalism. Capitalism doesn't live off the government. If there's money to be made in finding out how salamanders reproduce under the glaciers or whatever with the help of bees or some shit. If there's money to be made off of that, somebody in the private sector will fund them. If there's no money to be made off of it, and it's not going to advance our culture, I don't pay for it. And if any government money goes to the development of pharmaceuticals, let's say somebody comes up with a medication that can cure hepatitis, in 98% of the people administered the medication can cure hepatitis. But the country that developed it, it cost $80,000 a dose. I mean, they can cure the freaking disease. And the money, most of the money for the research was grants and guaranteed loans and such like that. Well, no. I mean, hepatitis should be a thing of the past. The end. My friend should still be alive. The end. I don't know what you call it. That's not capitalism. That's something else. We've moved beyond capitalism. I don't know. Capitalism works, but we don't do pure capitalism anymore. Capitalism, people can fail. Okay. The basic way banks work, you put money in the bank, you take the cash money that your employer gives you, your customer, whoever, you put that in the bank. That deposit you're giving to the bank and saying, I'm going to put this in here if I need any of it, I'm going to come back and get it. But until then, you can use it. It is your money that the bank is loaning. So if you don't want to lose your money that you've put in the bank to some bad loan, don't put your money in the bank. We wouldn't be worried about all this bank card business and this cryptocurrency now, would we? There'd be a lot of guys out there that are filthy rich from doing nothing, that are running the cost of living up every day, that wouldn't be able to do that now. If we just hadn't started letting people that didn't have money loan money. I want to clarify something too. People keep talking about this on a bunch of the people I follow on Instagram and Facebook, and they keep bringing up Jesus whipping the guys in the temple, the money changers and such as that. These were people that were at the temple to make money. These were people that were, okay, you show up and you need to give them 2 pennies for whatever it was you did last week to get a clean slate. All you got is $1. And you can't make change at the altar. You can't put that dollar in the plate and then pull back 98 cents. A money changer sits out there and says, okay, I will give me the $1 and I will give you back 98 cents. Then you take the 98 cents, take 2 cents out and pay it, and you get to keep the 96. That's a banker. Jesus said God don't use for bankers or people that make money off the church. I can go watch a secular movie or a concert. I can watch a concert for $20 if used to. I don't know what they are now, but when I could go to watch a concert for $20, if I wanted to go watch a Christian concert, it was going to cost me $40 to $80. I've never been to a Christian concert. Those people are goats, I think. I could be wrong, and if I am, I hope God forgives me. But the church is not a place to make money. The end. That's who was getting their ass whooped by Jesus. Were the people that were using the church to make money. The pastor is entitled to his salary. If you need a secretary, yada, 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 yada. But if God imparts upon you the wisdom and the knowledge and the insight to write a book that is going to change lives, you find a way to self-publish that stuff and you sell it for the cost of publishing until you've paid off the cost of publishing. And then you give it away for free. That's how I think that should be. I digress. Well, yeah, true. That's just the way that works, unfortunately. Anyway, we're not we're not fighting against a corrupt government. We're not fighting against corrupt bankers. We're not fighting, well, we are. But what's behind all of that? What's behind all the pedophiles and the pornography and let's legalize every drug under the sun so we can wipe out as many brain cells as we can. What's behind all of that stuff is the devil, who's getting better and better at convincing people that he is actually an angel of light, and they're falling for it. Well, it doesn't hurt anybody. Does it help anybody? Does it help anybody? That's. I don't think there's. Yeah, no. The Germans had it right. Methamphetamine is good for one thing. You give it to your guys in the field and they can fight for days. They can blitz and run across the whole entire continent of Europe and take it over in a matter of months because they don't have to sleep. It's, you know, later on they start freaking out and just murdering everybody and, you know, gassing entire races of people just because. But everybody, when they want to think about evil, they want to think about people like Stalin, Hitler, that guy in China. What about the Japanese? What about what the Japanese did to the Chinese just prior to their communist revolution? Uh, what about, yeah, I mean, what's going on against the whites in South Africa right now is not okay. But what about what they pulled when they took over the country from the other folks? That wasn't okay. See, the people in Ireland that really don't want to be part of the United Kingdom. What about all the stuff that was done to them when they were being conquered and subdued and all that stuff? If people want to preach about what's it called when you give people money for what happened to their granddaddy? I think Great Britain's got a lot more money. Oh, a lot more money than we do. We as a species are prone to evil. That's what we got to work on. That was what Jesus was trying to teach us. That's what the gospel is trying to try to cover. A lot of the churches, if you will just confess and be baptized, then you're saved. No, not unless you're changed. If you're not spiritually born again, you're not saved. If you can continue to live your life the way you lived it before, that's like lying to somebody about their car warranty when you're selling them a new car. If you can still do that, then chances are you're not saved. It's that simple. You think you're saved, but you're not because you're still willing to lie, cheat, and steal. Oh, it's just salesmanship. The guys, the merchants, were just trying to sell turtle doves, you know, and such. And, you know, because you got people that were going to that temple that they didn't raise sheep and they didn't raise birds. The only thing they had was the money they made from their little shop. So they had to go in there and take the money and buy whatever the law said they needed to pay for their sins. So these guys were, you know, it's like you go to the carnival and, you know, they should have done the from farm to market, the direct thing. They should have walked out the country and bought the stuff and brought it back down with them. They'd saved a lot of money. But then, you know, it would have greatly affected the market, and a lot of those guys wouldn't have been getting rich off of other people suffering and stuff like that. But, all right, Dad, we'll talk to you later. I didn't figure a lot of people would stick around for this conversation. Not many people want to talk about God anymore. That's the problem. You can't you can't speak the truth about God and keep friends. Um, you just can't. If you're willing to put, you know, if you're willing to give out milk and honey, you can make friends and keep friends. But I'm not. But I don't preach anymore. And I can't even find a church to attend. Every time I go into church, I'm like, seriously? And people are like, well, you just have to be there for yourself and what you can get out of it. So I'm supposed to sit there and allow the leaders of that church to influence my thinking on Christianity, while the pastor is a woman. I can't, because she's not supposed to be preaching. She can teach other women. She can teach children. But in the church, women cannot have authority over men. The end. Because that's God's rule, not mine. Yeah, it is. So when I was a pastor, it was so much easier if you just let the women take the little jobs at church and do them. They were willing to do it. Getting a guy to give up fishing, bowling, watermelon seed spitting, whatever the hell it is they do on their weekends or after work, to take on a little 2 hour a week job is really hard to do. You've always got the few. But if you've got a small church and you've only got 15 or 20 men in there, uh, it's really hard. It usually winds up being one or two guys doing it all. And then you start running the other ones off because you keep telling them, no, you need to step up. You're a member of the church. That means that being a member of a church is a whole lot more than just showing up on Sunday mornings and tithing. I personally don't believe in tithing. I believe in passing the plate. And yeah, but not sold on the tithing. I don't disagree completely with tithing, but tithing's not tithing's neither going to get you into or keep you out of heaven. But when you give willingly for a need or something, then that's good karma. And if you are going to tithe, make sure you tithe somewhere where the tithing actually goes towards the work of God and not a. There are churches around me that have multi-million-dollar properties. But there are literally people living under bridges and bathing in a polluted creek here. but these churches are running on an annual budget of over $2 or $3 million. One of them for the price of the air conditioning bill on the rec center. They call it a rec center. Just the cost of keeping it air conditioned would be enough to house one of those people that pay his rent and his utilities all year long. And that's just the rec center. Not you're accepted by God's grace. The pastor's supposed to tell you how to get saved, and then he's supposed to work you through. I don't believe in this once saved, always saved. The parable of the sower kind of throws a big old kink in that. We're supposed to work towards salvation every day of our life. Not through deeds, but through prayer. And by living a more Christ-like life every day. And constantly praying for forgiveness and for guidance and for strength. God will add to your faith. He will strengthen your faith. And as your faith is strengthened, sin has less and less and less of a foothold in your life. There's a lot more to sin than whatever. I mean, sin is so much more than drinking, drugging, and sexing it up. There's gossip, talking about what your friend did at band camp. That's a sin. Telling a story you heard about somebody to somebody else is a sin. Hell, saying you caught a 10-pound catfish when you know damn good and well it was only a 5-pound catfish, that's a sin. Sinning's easy. Not sinning is the hard one. Breaking beans. We can do a garden this year. We're investing all our time and energy into walking protein. So, didn't get a chance to break the ground before it was time to have the garden in, so no gardeners. You got to put the gardens in early here. Y'all people talking about putting your garden in this year, and I was like, man, I already missed that. In February, March, you get a till in March, and you got to have the stuff planted in April, and then you just got to the little cold snaps and stuff. You just got to keep it alive through there, because ordinary this year probably would have been okay because it hasn't been hot. It's July something or other, and we're looking at it is 82 out there. It's almost noon, and it is only 82 degrees. What? It's July 8th, 9th. It should be like 100 degrees out there already. Coming on like 95, 98 degrees by noon, and you're looking at 100, 101, 102 by 5, and then it gets back down below 95 at dark, and then gets down in the 80s. If you're lucky, low 80s at night. And I'm okay. I'm okay that it's not doing that. I am solid okay with it, but this has been a downright cold year. Uh, so I hope there's more to come. I hope next year's just like this. Honestly. The chickens are loving it. There's grasshoppers like you would not believe. Uh, Sit there and watch the chickens out there just going crazy, catching the little termites, and grasshoppers, and miller bugs, and yeah, just they're doing okay. Or I didn't get my phone out in time to get the video. The cows were doing calisthenics, I guess, last night. They were just running around the perimeter of the pasture, just running. I don't know why. But, their little neck humps just jiggling away while they were running. It was actually kind of cool to watch. And I wish I had caught it on camera so I could share it with y'all, but I did not. So there. Here's another one that I wanted to bring up. I wanted to read all of these actually. First John 4:1-3. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God. And every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. And this is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you heard was coming and now is in the world already. That was written 2,000 years ago. Or something. And you cannot overcome evil by evil, but overcome evil with good. It's hard. It's why the Bible tells us to be in prayer ceaselessly, all the time, instead of sitting there getting caught in reels for hours on end, and just going hoo hoo hoo, and then going to the next one, hoo hoo hoo, going to the next one. Why not read the Bible? And instead of going whore, you can go, oh, reverse the two letters, and it goes from wasting time to improving yourself. And I'm preaching to myself now. Like, I'll open this and I'll be like, oh. Then the next thing you know, I've spent 15, 20 minutes watching reels. Awesome, Aaron. C103 is not talking to nobody. He's cracking beans. Or breaking beans. I don't know. I guess he's either snapping green beans or he's making bean powder. I don't know which one. And I have a picture of him sitting there with a bag of pinto beans, a hammer, and an anvil. And there's got to be a better way to do that. But Mark, you look quite humorous in my mind right now, and I appreciate that. It's a little bitty hammer though. You should get maybe like a bigger hammer. I don't. It's a big anvil, but it's a little bitty hammer. Just saying. There's a chicken pecking on the door. Well, I should have brought me something to drink out here. I ain't got no coffee, no water, no nothing. And this is something, and this is again HEB, and he brought this up, and I hear it all the time. Pedophilia. I want everybody in here to take a moment after this is over with to actually Google pedophilia. And you'll find out that it is even more heinous than what you believe. But that it is not what you believe it is. Another justifying disclaimer. There is no reason for a grown man to be cruising high schools and junior highs, or colleges for that matter. Because I've come to the conclusion that ain't a man out there grown until he's 30. He ain't got no business chasing young girls. But pedophilia is actually the attraction to prepubescent human beings. They have another name for the people that target puberty and young adult people. It's not, they don't call them pedophiles. Um, but quit softening the one word. Okay. Uh, Pedophiles are sick, and well, God's got a plan for them. That's him. A lot of you people screaming the word pedophile and stuff. Y'all are saying your granddad and great granddad and uh, my dad were pedophiles. Uh, no, that's just the way it used to work. It's it's worked since the dawn of time. It doesn't work that way anymore, and I think it's like I don't know, put like a chip in them or something, like you can scan them when they come into the bar or whatever. I got a friend. He did for 10 years for taking a woman home from a bar, and well, come to find out, she had a fake ID. But the courts don't care about that. Anyway, I agree that pedophiles need to die. Pedophiles, all of them, because that's just freaking sick. And if you're the kind of person that practices that, then yeah, you'd be, if I was handling it, it'd be a lot better for you that a millstone was tied around your neck and you were thrown into the river or the lake or whatever. That's just what. How long does it take a fella to drown? So, the people on Epstein's Island or whatever were just a bunch of rich, powerful people that thought they could do whatever they wanted to whenever they wanted to, and that anybody of a lesser social standing was cattle. And that's not okay. And I would really like for them to get brought out into the light and do some time. That's simple. Okay. Well, I knew you. I figured that's what you were doing, but sitting there with an anvil making bean powder was actually still quite entertaining. If you want to know the truth, just can't figure out why you're using that little video 8 ounce hammer. I guess that's probably just my little twisted sense of humor. I actually own a 10 ounce hammer. Uh, I have an 8-ounce somewhere, but I got that in the garage sale. The 10-ounce comes in handy for a lot of little things. But I usually swing a 22-ounce frame and hammer. So. Just, I guess for beans, you wouldn't need that much hammer. I am trying to figure out how to grind kosher salt. We're no longer consuming Morton's or any of the granulated salts. There's not that much salt in them. It's a bunch of other stuff. Kosher salt is just salt. Sea salt is just salt. Salt is good for you. So if you take kosher salt, you put it in a cup and then fill it with distilled water, like a jar, and set it somewhere and just let the water evaporate. You'll wind up with a big crystal that's clear. Ish. You can see through it. You can see the light through it. If you take your Morton salt or the Walmart version of Morton salt and do the same thing, it becomes a white mass. You can't see like it. That's how much extra stuff is in the Morton's type salt, the granulated salt. It's not salt. Yes, we have a lot. We actually replaced most of our iodized and granulated salt with the pink Himalayan stuff. I mean, if it stayed in the Himalayas for millions of years and it's still salt, I don't really think that expiration date counts. So we figure every time we buy a bag of it, we can put it up. We don't have to worry about it. And if it does happen to turn into a big clump, we will just smack it with a 10-ounce hammer. Put it on an angle and go smack. And then we'll have little chunks of pink salt again. My wife wants me to try the coffee grinder, which we've used for everything else, and it's worked, so it might. I don't want to powder it, though. That's the thing. I want to grind it without turning it into powder. I was looking for a little mortar and pestle, but couldn't find one. We're going to probably order one off the line, off the interwebs. That's something else while I'm thinking about it. All you people, any of you people that actually enjoy going shopping and walking around the store and actually making decisions for yourself based on actually being able to touch the product and know what size it is and look at it and actually physically be involved in the purchasing process of your goods and stuff, y'all better get it done, because I don't think there's going to be any. I don't think we're going to be allowed in Walmart much longer. Um, the newest development from like that I can think of is uh, McDonald's. 4 weeks ago, you could go into McDonald's, and even though they had the kiosk there for you to order yourself all your stuff and then them give it to you from across the room, uh, you had the option to order at the kiosk or order at the counter. Now the counter option is completely gone, and there's just a person standing over there by the kiosks. And if you don't want to use the kiosk, they will use it for you. So they're still paying somebody to take your order, but it's all being done through the kiosk. So the algorithm, the AI, is seeing that everybody's using the kiosk to order. So why do we still need to have a walk-in? Why do we still need to have a dining area? Why isn't everybody just coming to the drive-through and picking this stuff up and going? Uh, you can make damn good money doing Uber Eats. It's almost impossible to get any food from a fast food place around here because people are doing the Uber things. There's like literally, they have a line. There'll be a line of Uber drivers there to pick up orders, and they get to break the line. They get their own special spot at the counter where they go pick the stuff up, get in their vehicle, drive off. So they really don't want us running into each other at the grocery store, the restaurant, the barbershop. I don't know. Maybe barbershops will still be there for a while. But yeah, I think we're going really fast towards like some Eon Flux type cities or whatever that I really don't want to be a part of. Anyway, that's it. We are, if you really want to make a difference in the world, change yourself. Quit making excuses for your own sin. Quit making excuses for your tolerance of sin. If it's not okay with God, it shouldn't be okay with you. There is no room for hate in Christian faith. You cannot hate somebody for their life choices. It's not your job. And you can, but the other side of that is you can love somebody without embracing their life choices. That's it. I was actually surprised at the park the other day. I saw somebody who I didn't think would ever, but it's love. It's love has forced his hand on this. Is in full support and tolerance of something that 20 years ago he wouldn't have been okay with. And yeah, such is life. What did Jesus say? I'm not here to bring peace but the sword. That's a lot of people miss that part too. Your enemies, the enemy of the born again, actual born again, I'm living different, saved person are going to be those of his own household. His mother, his father, his brother, his sister, his wife, his children, his friends. What are you going to say? If you're not willing to give up your life to follow me, then you're not worthy of the kingdom of heaven. Don't stop loving the people, but you can't. Don't give up your salvation in the hopes that maybe the guy across town that's preaching something different than you've known your entire life, which gives you hope for the loved ones in your life who are living opposed to the lifestyle of Christ. Hope for them, even though you know it's not real. So you give up your own salvation. You deny Christ. You openly deny Christ. And then you perish. Because you chose your family, your loved ones, your friends, your life over Christ. And that's it. Don't do that. We can't save our loved ones. Only Christ can do that. Only the Spirit can. And the more of the Spirit that shines, the true Spirit, not that haughty little, well, I'm a saint because I go to church. Not that one. That's that's the devil. Well, if they would just act more like me, they'd be. That's not scripture either. God bless you, people. Y'all fill out. Don't die. I'm going to go get me a glass of tea. And see if it's still cool enough out there to mow the grass. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. We cannot stop. If there's a third world war coming, it's because God wants a third world war. Nothing we do stop it. We're actually not supposed to be worried about what's going on in Iraq or Iran, even though it's really, really hard. We're supposed to be worried about what's going on in here and in here. There's plenty of work to do in here and in here. Just keep working on the person in the mirror. That's how you change the world. You have to change the person in the mirror. That's it. Because believe it or not, the person in the mirror is who everybody else is looking at. God bless you. Don't sell out. Don't die.